Why women find it so difficult to ask for what they want in a relationship today. This is something women really struggle with, and it's not natural. It's due to your conditioning. You have been taught this way. You've been taught to be afraid of communicating your needs or to bottle up your feelings and needs until they explode because of resentment, because you haven't been communicating your needs properly. This isn't the way that it's supposed to be. I got a 2.5-year-old daughter, and I will tell you, she has absolutely no problem communicating her needs at all. If she wants something, if she wants water, if she wants a diaper changed, if she wants to eat, if she wants to play with toys, if she wants some cuddles, if she wants a hug, whatever it is that she wants, she has no problem asking for it and being quite assertive about it. Now, of course, I'm teaching her how to do it in a more feminine way, because if I don't start correcting her now, then she's going to end up being very bossy. That's very clear, which makes sense because that's a lot of the energy that both my wife and I are bringing into this child, right? It's our genes. And of course, I've had to work so hard on helping my wife as well learn how to communicate in a much more vulnerable way, because she is very naturally assertive. Now, there's nothing wrong with a woman being, we'll call it assertive, right? Like if we're talking about just being able to directly communicate your needs, there's no issue with that. The only issue is when women are assertively communicating their needs in a very masculine way, which will actually repel men away. But then also not communicating your needs at all, or doing it in a very indirect way, or especially a passive aggressive way, is also going to result in pushing a man away and causing him to lose that inspiration to take care of you. So back to my daughter. My daughter has no problem communicating her needs, and she's 2.5. And that should generally be true of any really young child at that age, unless their parents really did quite a number on them as far as being abusive, neglectful, whatever. So something happens between this young age, and it can definitely start younger, it often does start younger, between this age and when a woman becomes a grown adult and starts getting into relationships with men, right? Because between that age where little girls are able to just communicate their needs quite naturally and adulthood, most women lose the ability to communicate their needs. I'll just use the word assertively, where they'll repress, they'll avoid communicating their feelings, they'll be much more indirect, and then other women swing in a other way where they go more masculine, like my wife did. And like I said, neither option is going to be a good option when it comes to getting what you want from a man, which is a man being inspired to take care of you, to cherish you, to be his best for you, to lead you with love, to lead you with devotion. So that's what we're going to be talking about more today. Hello, my name is Zach Rohde. I am here to lead you into creating the relationship of your dreams by using your feminine energy and what I call feminine communication to inspire a man into stepping up and cherishing you. If you have not yet subscribed to this channel, make sure you do that below, hit the notification bell, and be sure to like this video because I am going to make sure that it is a good one for you today. And if you'd like to learn how to inspire a man into cherishing you, go below this video, open up the description. That's where all the links to my offers are. Start with zachrohdecoaching.com. That is my free webinar where I'm going to show you how to shift out of your unhealthy control patterns that are pushing away the love and devotion that you deserve. Okay, so what's going on between this young period and all the way into adulthood for women? So most women end up becoming much more passive. Like I said, there are women that kind of become really hyper assertive in a masculine way. They become kind of like boss babes. But certainly in my experience, right, like I've worked with hundreds of women clients. Some are like more overtly masculinized than others. Some appear, at least on the surface, very feminine, or they're also stuck in a lot of control patterns. Most of these women, I'd say the overwhelming majority, their biggest issue is being too passive. They are waiting around and hoping that the man steps up, like when they're with a man, steps up and starts doing what they should be doing, which is leading and creating plans and being proactive and fixing the issues that happen in the relationship and taking care of her feelings and all of that kind of stuff. So they're passively waiting. And to be fair, in a woman's fantasy, just because of the way that women are wired, their instincts, of course what you want is a man who's just so proactive, who's just anticipating all of your needs, that you don't even really need to communicate that much or at all. It's like he's got everything handled. He can just sense when everything's wrong, and he's just fully taking care of you on that level. That would be fantastic, right? In the real world, it doesn't work that way, because what happens is you are more passive. You are just hoping that a man steps up and meets your needs in the way that you need. But you're more passive because you're not in your self-worth. You're not in your feminine self-worth. A woman who's truly in her feminine self-worth, she's going to be what I call an active follower, right? This whole, a man is supposed to be leading, woman's supposed to be following, just like in a salsa dance, a tango dance, pretty much any kind of dance between a man and woman. And we have negative connotations, negative concept around being a follower, like that's less than, that's weak, and that's not true at all, right? In a relationship, being a good follower is just important as being a good leader. But a big part, a huge part of being a good follower is to be an active follower, which means that when you have an unmet need, when you have a hurt feeling, or you're feeling anxious, or you're feeling whatever, whenever you need something, whenever you have a desire, whatever, you have the confidence, you have the self-worth to communicate what you need. Again, I'll go back to my 2.5-year-old daughter. She's got plenty of that confidence. But most women don't. Most grown women don't. And so they shift into this more passive energy of just kind of hoping and waiting, which is communicating a lack of self-worth. Okay, so your self-worth is a lot lower, which means that you're going to tend to attract a man on that level. Like if you really have low self-worth, you're going to attract a man who has self-worth issues and other wounding as well, which is going to cause problems in a relationship. At least until you start to really shift things so that he can reflect your shifts. And the man that you, say if you are in a relationship or your past relationships, when a woman lacks self-worth, she's not going to be inspiring that man. The lower your self-worth is, the less a man is going to be inspired. So if you're just waiting around, hoping, passively hoping that a man's going to start stepping up and meeting your needs, it's not going to happen. And what will happen though is you're going to end up getting increasingly frustrated, probably increasingly anxious, increasingly resentful. And that resentment will absolutely leak out in your communication, right? By being passive aggressive, being judgmental and critical, naggy, whatever it is. You've lost your ability to be an active follower, which means being able to communicate all of your needs and feelings and problems as they come up, right? Why is this happening? This is happening because between starting at a really young age, parents, not just parents, but also teachers, peers, other caregivers, grandparents, etc., they teach you, they give you the message that your needs, in one way or another, are a burden. Your needs are a burden, and your desires are a burden, and your feelings are a burden. All of these things are a burden. And they teach that by being critical, upset at you, neglectful, aggressive, abusive, all kinds of things. That they respond negatively when you try communicating a need or feeling or problem, desire. And the more that they do that, the more that that message gets hammered into you, that my needs are a burden. This can also start at a really young age before you're even verbal, right? Like if you cry a lot, that's the way that a baby communicates their needs. And one of your parents or both of your parents responded to that crying by being upset, frustrated, aggravated, being critical. You're getting that message even before you even understand your language, that your needs are a burden, because that's how you're communicating your needs, is through crying. Okay, so you get that message over and over and over again, and you eventually you become 6 years old, 10 years old, 15 years old, and now you're very verbal, communicating those needs, and you continue to get that message. And so by the time you start getting into relationships, you've already learned the message that your needs are a burden in some kind of way. And if you haven't fully learned that message, well, guess what? You're about to, because as you get into those relationships, if you didn't have a father who taught you feminine communication, and you didn't have a mother who role modeled for you feminine communication, then you're going to communicate your needs in a more masculine way, through judgments, through subtle or not so subtle leading. And the man's not going to respond very well to that, because men are not instinctually wired to respond to a woman well, be inspired to take care of her when she is in masculine energy, when she's communicating to a man in masculine energy, even if it's really softened masculine energy. He might do it out of obligation, but even then you're still going to feel it. It's like, oh, it's like he's doing this out of obligation. And what's the message you're getting? Your needs are a burden. And then it becomes increasingly more challenging. You feel more and more resistance to continue communicating your needs, because you know it's going to be met with him doing things out of obligation, or resisting you, or judging you, blaming you, neglecting you, not really being interested, making excuses, whatever it is. So over time, it becomes harder and harder for most women to communicate their needs actively as an active follower in this beautiful way. And that's tragic. It's tragic because it hurts your self-worth, and it hurts your relationship, it hurts how you feel about yourself, it hurts everything. The way to reverse this, because whatever damage has been done, and every woman has been damaged in some way to one extent or another because of this, right? I would say every woman, and man as well, by the way, like this happens to men just in a different kind of way, but every woman is given the message to one degree or another that her needs are a burden. Now, really, really healthy women who had amazing parents and everything, the message is going to be super small, right? But it can still creep up at times because their parents still were not perfect, right? So that it could be a little bit of message, that messaging that got in. And then women who had really not so good parents, and also this mixes in with their temperament, right? There's women with certain temperaments that are just much more sensitive. They're just much more sponges and take things in much deeper. There's going to be women on the other side of the spectrum that's like, I am a burden. My needs are a burden, feelings, everything, I'm just fully a burden. And it just like that, there's just an overwhelming almost, or even maybe not even almost, feeling of my needs are a burden. And then it's so difficult to express yourself when there's that much resistance that's in the way. So the way through this, there's mainly two, there's actually a few pieces to this. The way to get through this is, number one, you've got to move through your fear, right? If your control pattern is just passively following and avoiding communicating your needs, remaining more shut down, you need to start communicating your needs. You can't avoid, like there's no magic pill there, and there's no magic man who's just gonna come save you and sweep you off your feet. You have to do the hard work yourself. A man in general is just gonna be reflecting where you're at. So you have to move through this fear, move through this control pattern over and over and over again until it's just not really scary, until it's just normal and natural to communicate your needs. Because every time you move through this pattern, you're giving yourself the message, and the universe and a man, I'm worthy of my needs being met. Right? Otherwise, you wouldn't be communicating them. And when you don't communicate your needs when you have them, you're giving the universe and yourself and a man the message, my needs are not worthy of being met, which means I'm not worthy of devotion. So you're moving through the fear, and then you're also feeling whatever comes up, right? Sometimes if a man responds well, great, you'll feel happy, gratitude, joy, whatever. If he responds badly, you're probably going to feel anxious, irritation, sadness, shame, and you got to feel all those feelings too. A lot of those negative feelings, especially the shame and guilt and sadness, those are just woundings that are coming to the surface, right? It's parts of you that you're not fully loving and accepting because you were taught in childhood that they're not valuable. So you're learning to reintegrate those parts of you to fully love all of you. So you're feeling all those feelings, and you're using feminine communication when communicating your needs and feelings and problems. Because if you communicate in a more masculine way, with judgments, with subtle leading, not so subtle leading, like boundaries, all this kind of masculine energy, a man is going to typically not respond well, and then he's going to continue giving you the message, your needs don't matter. Your needs are a burden. And it's going to be very hard not to continue to believe that if that's the message that you continue to get, right? It's really hard to just be stronger than all that negative messaging that you're receiving. Whereas, if you use feminine communication, which means being permissive, which means being vulnerable, which means expressing your feelings, not as judgments, but truly as feelings, which means sharing the problems that are personal for you, not judging the man, but your problems. So feminine communication as I teach it, right, helping you, which will help you shift into your feminine energy. By doing that, now you have the most likely chance of a man receiving that really well, right? Because the more vulnerable and feminine you are, that activates a man's instinct to want to take care of you, to want to meet your need. And then when he does that, he's giving you the message, your needs are not a burden. They're a joy for me to take care of. And the more consistently that happens, because you're using feminine communication so consistently, you just continue to get that message, and then you very quickly, relatively speaking, you shift into really believing on the deepest level, my needs are not a burden. My needs are beautiful, and my needs are a gift to express. Because that's really true, right? Like, for a man to feel like needed and received and feel like he has a place and purpose in the relationship, he needs you to have needs. It's just that he needs you to communicate those needs in a way where you're not leading him, pressuring him, putting expectations on him in any way, not even in the most subtle way, to meet those needs. And if you can do that, then he's going to want to meet them through his own leadership. And it's going to feel good for him. It's going to feel good for him. And of course it's going to feel good for you, because now you're being cherished. Now you're being taken care of. Now you're getting your needs met the way that you deserve. So this is what I help women do. This is a big part of what I help women do, is to move through these fears, these control patterns, learn how to communicate your needs in this beautiful, vulnerable way to inspire men and take care of you. And if you would like some help learning how to do that, instead of just trying to figure it all out on your own by watching these videos and wherever else you're getting your information, I would love to help you. I would love to show you how to communicate this way and practice it with you and correct you when you make mistakes and help you through all the big feelings, the shame, the fear, everything that comes up in the way. That's what we do in our Academy program for women. And if you would like to learn more about how we can help you do that, then go below this video, open up the description. There's going to be links to all my offers, not just my Academy program, but that will be one of them. You go to the Academy link, which is thedreamrelationship.com. It's going to take you to another screen where you're going to watch a video about exactly what we do and how we help women. And if that video resonates for you, then go below the video and click the button to book a call with me. Call is free. We'll get to know each other. I'll figure out what your control patterns are and what you need help with, what you need to shift. I'll show you everything that I see. And then if I believe that I can help you in our Academy, we can talk all about it and you can make a decision as to whether you'd like to work with us. So don't delay. Don't make excuses. If that resonates with you, go do it. Click thedreamrelationship.com and get started. And I'll see some of you on a call. That's it for this one.